I'll have them set up. A lot of guys, when they first take a pec deck open, they'll start things here, and then they'll set themselves into their power position, which is hunched, because that's where you have, this is where I can hold the whole stack here and sit here all day and hold this thing, because I have leverage on it. But as soon as I do this, I've lost it, right? So a lot of guys will be here, and you'll see them open up, and then like shoulders are up in their ears, and then they're squeezing into here. So they're still getting range, because yes, it's opening, but the chest is still flat. So we're still coming through on the shoulder, and we're getting pec at the end. So you see these guys doing like tons of weight at your gym or wherever you might be, and they're muscling through the whole pec deck, and you're like, Jesus Christ, how do they do that? It's because they just discovered a mechanical advantage and able to just move on weight. Not that there's like anything wrong with that, but it's gonna develop an uneven chest. So we're not gonna stimulate all areas of the chest. We're just gonna hit outer. We're gonna hit a lot of front delt. And you'll see those guys when they stand up, they'll be here and they'll have a caved in mid chest and lower chest, but they're very big here, right? And they have like very little mobility when it comes to here, and they can't open up their chest, right? The idea is to reinforce the opening up of the sternum to have the chest sit where we want it. So we're gonna start here like we're in a relaxed position. So all the weight's on my hands right now. If I took this handle away and I was still leaning like this, I would literally fall out of the seat. That's how much weight I have in my hands. So I'm squeezing my back together, and I'm holding that weight on my hands as wherever I feel like I can relax my shoulder and keep my chest up. So when I squeeze that back, I'm gonna sit back and just open up. So I'm in a relaxed position here. My head is forward so that I'm moving. When I move, it's through my hands. So I'm gonna be here when I go to move. So my elbow's lower, tucked in, moving with my lat, and I'm throwing hands. Throw hands around. So when I come up through it, it's here. So I'm leaving that shoulder behind for the most part, and I'm lifting up through. So I'm lifting up that rib cage and squeezing through around on my hands. So I'm grabbing pec and sending it in to the middle. So we don't want to get into this whole habit of being here and then flexing in. And guys lean in, they squeeze, right? So the more we can get the sternum to be open all the time, the more elevation we get in your chest, right? So we get more projection from the side. The more that this moves, the higher the sternum can sit, we get bigger chest. Because when it comes down to it, your pec, the size of your pec doesn't make the size of your chest. Because you can have a very shallow, narrow chest with big pecs and they just sit there, or you can be wide open, right? Like Arnold. Arnold had a big chest, but it's because when he was to the side, he had this huge projection of his sternum and his rib cage, right? So that's what we're trying to go for on all these movements, is like sternum projection and opening up.
If you take a dumbbell, sit on an incline bench, and perform bicep curls with your arms behind you like this, you're going to start building the peak of your bicep. This can even double their growth according to some studies. If you lay the bench flat and sit at the end of the bench and perform the hammer curl, bringing your forearms towards your bicep, with your palms facing you, you'll be building your forearms and the outside of your biceps. This exercise kills two birds with one stone due to your hand positioning, and also saves you some time in the gym. Now, in the same position, if you have one arm on your thigh and your free arm grabbing the dumbbell, you can perform a concentrated curl. This isolates your bicep and allows you to not cheat using any type of momentum. Also, you don't have to use a heavy weight to actually control and really break down the muscle fibers in your bicep due to its starting position. And finally, if you grab a dumbbell with two hands like this and perform a curl, congratulations, you're doing a garbage workout. It's just jokes. But it is true, the first three positions are way better for bicep growth.
Here's every dumbbell bicep curl variation. Conventional curl, pinkies up, supinated, like you're holding a bowl of soup. Hammer curl, good for hammering. Not to mention, they'll build you a nice little brachialis muscle, which I don't really have. Reverse curl. This is gonna get the outside of the arm where everybody's looking, so you better start doing them. Zotman. This is like the first three variations had a baby and named it Zotman. I don't know why they called it that, but it targets the entire arm, gets you the juiciest pump you'll ever have. Seated incline. I think I'll use the 30s. Concentration curl. This here's a retro move, but EMG data shows it to have the highest biceps activation, so we should bring it back to the new age. Cross body curl. These bad boys are going to target the brachioradialis and the brachialis, get those forearms popping. Drag curl. I know for a fact you haven't done this. Looks easy, right? Nope, gonna burn like fire, and I should know. I'm Ginger. Follow for more.
Now, the reason you walking around with tiny-ass shoulders is because you're out here doing half-ass reps with weight that's too heavy for you.
You're wasting your goddamn time if you're doing it that way. But it's all good, because you know Papa Pump got you, and I'm about to put y'all on. First and foremost, fellas, we got to put our ego aside. So set this heavy-ass weight down and grab yourself a weight that you can actually control. The first thing we want to do is make sure that we got the bench set to the right angle. I personally like to set the bench just under 90 degrees for the shoulder press. Now, once we got the bench set to the right angle, we want to make sure that we have our wrist, elbow, and shoulders in alignment. This is called joint stacking. An easy way that I can make sure that my wrist and my elbows are in alignment is if I stick out my thumb and if it's parallel with my bicep, then I'm in the clear. Now, when it comes to positioning of the elbows, I personally like to tuck my elbows somewhere between 60 and 90 degrees. This is also known as a scapular plane, but if you like to flare your elbows and that's comfortable for you, that's totally fine. Now, when it comes to executing the exercises, guys, we want to get a full range of motion, making sure we're getting a full stretch on that delt. We don't want to be doing half reps like this because that's not going to do a whole lot. If you do need to do half reps, we want to make sure that we're doing them from the stretch position halfway up. This is a good technique to incorporate towards the end of your sets just to get a little bit of extra stimulation. And that's basically it. Make sure you guys try this shit out the next time that you train, and when you start walking around looking jacked and juicy, remember, Papa Pump taught you.
Here's how you can build the thickest upper back that you possibly can. Put these 4 methods to the test and watch the growth. First, deadlifts. I don't care what anybody else says, these can help develop your back. Although you might be focused on training your lower body, your spinal erectors and traps are working to stabilize your spine. Next, the teres major. Great for adding width, but depending on the angle at which you view it, I think it's underrated for giving you a thicker looking back as well. So, pull-ups or pull-downs with your arms outside of shoulder width. The first half of the movement targets them the most. Now, let's talk about the lower traps and a muscle called the infraspinatus. For muscle growth, don't really worry about targeting them directly. You'll hit them vicariously when you're training other muscles because their job is largely to stabilize, like the erectors do on deadlift. Finally, the entire yoke of your upper back, a chest supported row, allowing your shoulder blades to be pulled down, rounding at the bottom, fully retracting at the top. You can also perform horizontal shrugs at the end of a set to save time or do them on their own.
This is the perfect push day, effectively and efficiently targeting your chest, your side delts, and your triceps. We're going to kick things off with an incline dumbbell press, targeting your upper clavicular chest. Keep your elbows more tucked as opposed to flared here. That's going to allow you to lengthen the pec more at the bottom of the movement. And as you press, think about pressing up and back at a slight angle over your face. Hitting these hard in the 5 to 9 rep range at an RPE of 9 or 10. Onto a flat dumbbell press, now targeting our mid-sternal chest in a more lengthened position. Really focus on slowing down and controlling the negative here and go as deep as you can to fully lengthen that pec. Hitting this one as well in the 5 to 9 rep range. Moving on to a chest fly now, targeting our mid-sternal chest again, but this time in a more shortened position. We want to make sure we have a significant bend in those elbows on the negative here. That's going to ensure that tension stays on that pec. Fly forward and think about bringing your elbows together at the top of the movement, squeezing and holding that contraction with your chest. We're going to superset the next 2 movements, starting with a standard dumbbell lateral raise targeting our side delts. Think about sweeping the weight out away from you in an arc, raising the dumbbells up in the scapular plane, keeping your elbow in front of your shoulder and your wrist in front of your elbow. Hitting that for 6 to 10 reps and then immediately moving into heavy partials. We're going to perform these just like a normal lateral raise. You just shouldn't be able to lift it higher than a quarter to a half rep. Control the weight, resist the urge to use momentum to swing the dumbbells up. Next, we're going to do a tricep row press down, targeting the long head of our triceps. Take a few steps away from the cable machine, lean forward in your upper body slightly, keep your shoulders back, and be sure to flare your elbows at a 30-degree angle off your torso. Lock everything into place, and from here, extend your arms until they're completely straight. Squeeze and hold that contraction for a second before letting the weight come back down. Hitting these in the 6 to 10 rep range, and then immediately moving into a half kneeling push down. Kneel down and keep your elbows comfortably flared, lock them into place. From here, extend your arms driving to the base of your palms until you reach full elbow extension, taking these to complete failure, including partial reps.